And my dad saw how enterprising I was, and he said, "You're too talented to stay in this place. You gotta get out of the country." Have I even
made the right decision?
Made the right decision. And my expectation was different. Like 2 weeks before the end of my program, I only have 2 weeks, and then school is done. I wanted to drop all the courses. Being an immigrant is very difficult sometimes. So I realized that in our community we don't talk about it often, and until people almost break, that is when they seek help. So you can't be shy in this place. You have to talk to your necessary. You have to put yourself out there, right? So.
Sitting with Ibukun today, and he's the founder of Black Businesses Edmonton. He's been in Edmonton for over 13 years, and he's gone through the ranks from student to entrepreneur, and now he's helping other entrepreneurs in Edmonton, to have visibility and all the great stuff. And he's also been on major national media channels, so he's a great person to get inspiration from. And thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so how does life compare? I know you're from Nigeria, Lagos. So how does it compare to being in Canada? You've been here for 13 years. How does it compare?
Yeah, originally from Nigeria, like I said, but I was from Ogun State.
Okay.
But I lived most of my life in Lagos, work, hustle, business in Lagos. And life is good in Canada, but it's very different to compare because the culture is different, the weather is different. Migrated as a student. I came into the heart of winter, which was January.
I can imagine.
So it was a very, very harsh culture shock. Took me about 4 months to acclimatize. And then it's been good, I loved being in Canada, specifically Edmonton. I love the city so much because it's been really good to me.
Good to you.
So life is, I can't complain. Life is really great in Canada. I love the multiculturalism and the diversity that, we have here. And also I've also been, opportune to learn more about so many culture, which I'm very open-minded to, because I love, trying different cultures, learning more and then trying their food. I'm a very adventurous with food. So I've eaten from almost every
so you're really adapting to the Canadian culture, and that's a good thing. I think for lots of people, when we arrive, we struggle to adapt, and we want to stay in a familiar circle or we are familiar, but growth comes when you venture out and try new things. Okay, so take us back. How was life for you before you decided to move to Canada?
It was, it's that age where, you finish university, you want to get a job, and then, I finished university 2008.
Okay.
Then I did they call it National Youth Service Corps. It's like a paramilitary, mandatory.
We have national service in Ghana too.
You do have it. So I did that for 1 year, 2009. Then I got a job 2010, and because my family is an entrepreneurship family. I was born into entrepreneurship. So my dad never worked for anybody since I was born. So I worked from, I think, February 2010. And October, I quit my job.
Wow.
I just felt it wasn't for me, because I feel like I have a lot of talent and I'm restricting myself. And then, and because of the Lagos traffic, the hustle and bustle, so I just felt like I was restricting myself. So coming from a very small city, Shagamu, then, working in Lagos, one thing my dad taught me is that traveling is also part of education, right? So if you see something in a bigger city and you don't have it in your small city, you can bring that, solution. So I studied computer information system in Babcock University in Nigeria. So I'm the guy, I can open up a computer. I love computing so much. So I used to fix computers. I started learning more about Windows Server and and there's a lot of organization in Lagos that do that, right? But in my city, there's barely an IT company. So I quit and I had a conversation with my dad that I want to bring my knowledge, that I've acquired from school and working in Lagos for about 10 months back to my village. People thought are you
Are
like
you
going
okay?
out of your mind? Because
Yeah.
everybody's, just want to work, right? And in school, we don't usually learn about entrepreneurship. It's like go to school,
Get
get
a
a job,
get married.
Yeah, it was difficult because, because when you go from, you get living, you get paycheck to zero paycheck.
Yeah.
And all the money I had from my job, then I invested into my business.
Okay.
So we have with my dad, of course. So my idea was to have like my own office space, so I can start my own business. And my dad, and I told my dad, because we have a very huge land, like space, just sitting there.
Okay.
So I told my dad, so we have this ton of space waiting. So I told my dad to just give me like one office. I had a project, 2011, everything was ready, and I started trading, So I did a lot of marketing. So instead of people traveling, 1 hour to Lagos to get a computer fixed or anything, they come to me. So it's like I became the IT company. So I supply computers, I program the computers, I install all the operating system, install the software that they need. And so 2011, 2012, and my dad saw, how enterprising I was. And he said, you're too talented to stay in this place. You got to get out of the country. So he invested in me, coming to study here.
So life was good. Like, I think this story always comes where every time I talk to somebody, like there was a glass ceiling.
Yeah.
So you always felt like, no, I want more for myself. Right. So that's what, pushed you to move to Canada. And I know you came in as a student.
I came as a student, right? Yeah,
Why did you choose the student route? Was the PR route popular at that time?
I don't even know anything about permanent at that time. Right? So here's the thing. It wasn't just Canada. My dad just wanted me to get out of Nigeria. So we're thinking Europe, Australia, US, Canada. I don't want to go to Europe because I have a lot of friends that in Europe. And for me, I like adventure. I just want to go somewhere that I don't know about. I was thinking Australia, but it was too far. Distance and I still applied for school in US, Canada, Australia. So I got admission to a school in Australia. In Canada, I did University of Ottawa, NAIT. I applied to a few schools.
A lot of places.
So I now have to pick and choose, right? And I just tried Edmonton. So as at that time, I was also looking at other immigration pathways, but they were not very. It was very difficult.
It wasn't as popular as it is now.
As it is now, and I just wanted to do it the right way.
It was like killing two birds with one stone. You get to go to school and also, eventually get your PR. So why not?
Why not? So I decided to come as a student.
So how was life for you as a student back then? I know that probably the Black community wasn't maybe as big as it is now.
I was only Black person in my department. So the culture shock. I remember my first day on campus. Before I even got to campus, like the first day I took the bus. Back home, I was used to, if there's bus, they'll call you. I was just chilling. And the bus went away. I was like,
that's shock.
And then I went to, I got to my campus, just trying to adjust, and it was just different. And knowing full well, so I came January 2013. The last time I was in school was 2008. So that 5 years gap is like, it felt like I was starting all over again. So I remember my orientation, went to the International Center, learned about getting my health card, my student ID, bus pass. Then, it was just, and being the only Black student, it kind of affected my.
There's nobody to talk to or guide you.
I was in isolation. I was very, less confident because of the way I speak as well. So it was just very. It was challenging, but what was motivating, what's also scaring me was like I paid a lot of money as an international student because at that time it's about $7,500 per semester. So when I think about the money, I'm like, this can't go to waste. Like I was even thinking maybe it wasn't the right move because back home I had enough support. Like I was living better, especially when my business was about kicking out. So I was like, have I even
made the right decision?
And my expectation was different. Like I was expecting, Canada, and the cold was one of the shock, and then the food and then the culture, because I was used to, big city life.
Seeing a lot of people. Edmonton is quieter.
So it's quieter. So and then there isn't a lot of, even when you take the bus, you can barely see a Black person. So it was very challenging, but it got to a stage where I had to tell myself that, there's so many people that are looking for this opportunity and you have it. You can't let it go to waste. I remember the first time I saw a black person on campus,
excited.
I ran. It was very embarrassing. I ran and I hugged him. It wasn't even Nigerian. I didn't care. I just did like this. It was like,
what's going on here?
And then, we started talking and then I remember one time too, I was ranting. I called my dad. I was just angry. Like, I was ranting to my dad that I didn't like being in Canada. I want to come back to. So he was angry, like, what do you mean? I thought you're going to like it. I was just ranting. Then someone heard me on the phone and this person speaks my language. So the person saw me, he heard me ranting, waited for me to finish talking to my dad and that tapped me. And I said, don't worry, you'll be fine. And then I spoke my language. I was like, oh, you understand Yoruba? I said, talking. So he took me to a restaurant, we started talking, and he told me, it's always like that when you come, but don't worry. Then, I started. So what I did was I started using the International Center as a safe space for me to connect with other people. So instead of staying in isolation, I started talking to other people from different communities, different students. I started learning more. And that's how I kind of
So community was very important.
Very, very important.
For you to overcome the initial shocks and all that. How the campus influenced you, like adaptation, meeting other people.
So I'm going to go there. Yeah. So I remember my first semester, because I think I know in me that I just love bringing people together. So I remember one time I was at International Center. So I was playing, they had a projector where you can watch videos, right? So I was playing a Davido song. So I was playing that song. It was a song that was shot inside, like it was in the woods. So I was not talking about that's Nigerian culture. So everybody was curious, they paid attention to it. So the International Center coordinator saw how we were all like talking about culture. And I said, guys, how about we start a conversation circle? I started talking about, so then everybody from, Asia to Arab, Europe, everybody started talking about their culture. And, they said, we can actually make this a paid gig for you students. Let's call it peer mentorship. I was like, okay. Started peer mentorship group. And because of how I was just very passionate about it. So then it was 3 or 4 that started. So it was every week. So I'll go to the National Center, I just play a video, I'll talk about Nigeria, I'll talk about food. And then started even making Nigerian food, I'll take it there. And then that really made me feel that I wasn't alone. And I realized that sometimes, even if you don't see someone from your community, it doesn't mean we can't relate, because there's something that's still very similar about our culture. That's how I started making lots of friends, and that really helped me identify my talent, my soft skill of bringing people together, and that's what influenced one of the things I am today. And so, all of those things just made me realize that there's a lot we can do together as a community, and that really helped me a lot.
So, and I mean, what I picked from your story this far is one, the role of community, and also putting ourselves out there, taking initiative, because sometimes as newcomers, when we come in, we are feeling shy and we stay in we never get to get out of that, and we say, oh, I don't like Canada is boring and everything. I mean, it doesn't mean that open yourself up to the entire world, but in your small circle, whether you are in school, you are in church, at work, participate. Participate, take initiative, do something, right? And that's when you also get to meet other people, and it softens the burden of leaving family home and then coming to start over here.
And I like that I said that, because by default I'm a very shy person. I can't talk on stage, I'm just not that guy, right? But when I realized that being in this part of the world, it just awakens you a little bit. It just made me realize that you can't be shy in this place. You have to
put yourself out.
Talk to you necessarily. You have to put yourself out there, right? So, and I broke out of the accent. Sometimes the accent can also restrict you. But I'm like, at the end of the day, everybody is unique in their own way, and I can't change. I can't fake the way I talk. I just become original, and people start accepting me just the way I am.
How long was your program?
2 years. Guess what? I finished it in 1 year and 6 months.
Wow.
So I knocked off 1 semester off. It was exhausting. I won't tell anybody to do it. So I had to talk to my department. I want to take more classes. Don't do it. No, don't.
Was there a reason why you did that?
I just want to get out of school.
Get out of school.
I just want to also, I want to save money. Also because, my dad was the only person that was sponsoring me, and he was sick.
Okay.
I was concerned about his health. I doesn't have the energy anymore. So he won't be able to pay 4 semesters, but he can pay 2 semesters. So I was very worried that, you know, what if he doesn't have the means to support me? What would I do, right? And it was, you know, the weird thing is that 2 weeks before the end of my program, I only have 2 weeks to do my capstone project, my final papers, and then school is done. I wanted to drop all the courses. And at that way for like 2 years. You know, each day felt longer. And I survived it because then I was working as a peer mentor, I was working lab monitor, and school is stressful. You do assignment, you do labs, it's exhausting. Luckily for me, I scaled through, and that really helped me as well.
Looking back, do you think it was worth it?
It was, because it was on the same day that I did my capstone project.
Okay.
Because they invite industries to come and watch our presentation. So one of my colleague in class then was interviewed, so she referred me to the organization interview, and boom,
you got the job.
Yeah, I didn't stress. That was the first company that I applied for, and I got the job. So I didn't have to. It didn't take me long after school. It was like from school straight to work.
Because I was going to ask you how getting your first job was like, but
it's easy.
Right.
And that's one thing I love about the school. So NATE is a very hands-on school.
Yeah.
They teach you industry ready, needs. So we're doing things, and it felt like that's why sometimes our human mind is very strong, and our brain is very powerful. Things I thought I could not even understand or know. I remember when I first started as a student, I felt like I was going to fail, right? But I feel like I just challenged myself. I didn't know I have the capacity to know this much knowledge in technology. Because the course I did was digital media and IT, and I majored in system administration. You know, and my grades were very good, very, very, very good. You know, I learned animation, I learned graphic. I built a cartoon. You know, and I was like, I didn't believe I could do this.
You could do something like that.
So the school was very amazing. Like, you know, it really taught me everything I know. I was a very technical person, but I became way more technical now. So, you know, and it made me realize that sometimes, you know, there's nothing you can't achieve, right? You know, you just have to keep trying.
Yeah. So how long did you stay in corporate Canada before becoming, you know, starting your own thing?
So here's the thing. While I was a student, though, because I just want to earn some side income, right? So I used to tell students and the international center that I can fix computers, right? So so as a student, I was making some stipend, you know. Sometimes some students won't pay me, so they will just buy me lunch, which is still good, right? So, you know, I think, so when I finished school 2014, I started, so I wasn't incorporated. I was just, you know, it's like a side gig, right? But it was during COVID, it was when I incorporated my business. Because I still, you know, I work. I wasn't really thinking about the entrepreneur line, but I still do it on the side. Like I build website, but I wasn't thinking to build a full-on entrepreneur. But it was just during COVID when everybody started working from home. The reliance of technology was very high, and I realized that I need to be incorporated, and I incorporated my business. That was in 2021. You know, and the other thing I like to talk about is mental health, because we don't usually talk about it in our community. I feel like a stigma, right? So I personally have, you know, been through the journey of mental health. You know, being an immigrant is very difficult sometimes. So I realized that in our community we don't talk about it often, and until people almost break, that is when they seek help. The signs to watch out for, even burnout from work, from business, right? And through that journey, honestly, people ask me how am I able to do, you know, even though I'm an entrepreneur, I still have a full-time job. You know, I'm being a father of 3 daughters. You know, it's very tasking, right? So but I know where to pause, when to distress, right? That's how I'm able to do so much, because I know because I've spoken to mental health experts, therapy. I do therapy. I talk to psychiatrists, you know. And you know, I know how to balance my,
because I think it's really an issue, you know, among immigrants, because when we come, you know, there's a lot we are learning. There's a lot, you know, we are trying to rebuild again, and that comes with a lot of emotional pressure. You know, some people may deal with regret. You know, will this decision work? So I think your mental health is a really, really big issue that we need to talk about. And the fact that before you even make that move to, you know, come to Canada or wherever you're moving to, you need to really be ready mentally for the kind of pressure.
Nobody, you know, we're not prepared for. Even the weather alone is a shock. Like we're not prepared for for things like this, right? And that's why you need to be more educated to understand how to balance. Because I've seen people, they everything they have back home, they sold everything because it's like they just want a better life. It's like starting all over again, and they come here. The expectation isn't really like someone is a doctor back home and being here and becoming an Uber driver, right? Can be depressing. You have to go do some exams, so it can be exhausting. But if you know how to find right resources, you can really kickstart
and that's what like I always promote. Like before you even arrive, do your research before coming, because at least the pressure will be there, but it will not be as bad as if you now come here trying to figure everything out. Okay, so when did Black Business Edmonton come into the picture?
2023. So here's the thing. It was funny. BB came as a need for me because I was looking for Black Business Edmonton. I was looking for it. So because during the pandemic, I did a lot of projects for so many communities, right? So I saw, the community, they do like mixers. So I was looking for, in fact, I wasn't looking for Black Business Edmonton. I was looking for the Nigerian business community. So I went online. I didn't find anything like a business community. We have association that does different programs, but not business related. So I was like, okay, definitely we have an African business community of Edmonton. I'm like, nope.
There's nothing like that.
I said, definitely we have a Black. Because my goal was I wanted to go to Black Business Edmonton or which name they call it, to go and showcase my IT skills to help the community. So boom, when I realized that we don't have, the closest thing I saw online was a Facebook group. And the last time it was posted, it was probably 2022. I just thought, you know what? So I now thought, let me give it a try. So initially I called it Black Community Edmonton. And I realized community sounds more like advocacy and it's social, and my focus is just entrepreneurship. And I said, no, let me just call it Black Business Edmonton. I created first step was create a social media page, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. That's it. I know people that do side business. I reach out to them. I tell them you have a business, I can promote your business. I didn't know it was going to become a thing at all. And I don't know, if you ask me how I do it, I don't know. I saw a gap that needs to be filled in community, and I just put my heart into building a community, and it became what it is today.
That's amazing. Like your story is amazing. Now you advocate for the Black community in Edmonton. So tell us more about that with the chamber and all the chamber of commerce.
So here's the thing. Like I was saying, I miss saying this, that everything I do was because of my father. When I was a student, my dad, I love my father. I talk about him all the time. Whatever you see today is a replica of him, and he loved me so much. Doesn't mean he doesn't love my siblings, but I know I'm special in my dad. He loved me as a kid. So when I was a student, the goal was I was going to come to Canada, become a student after school. Then whatever knowledge I'll learn, I'll go back
to Nigeria.
But on the day I got a job, I was actually going to share the good news. Like, Daddy, finally, I got a job. I was going to use that job to just practice for maybe 1 or 2 years, go back to Nigeria. And unfortunately, that was when I got a call that he passed away. And that broke me. And it was when I was about to enter university, then in 2004, that my mom passed away. So by 2004, my mom passed. 2014.
So the 10 years gap.
So I was like, I can't go back to Nigeria, because without my father, I can't. I love him so much that his absence will break me. So I decided to create a family for myself in Canada. So all this advocacy work, I'm telling you, everything that BB is today is just because I love to serve. And my dad loved to serve us, so that's where I grew up. So all the, I started advocating for the community, because when I see that, we're losing out on a lot of opportunities, right? I just want to use my voice to be able to help our community. It was very difficult in the beginning, because I was trying to navigate. Okay, now you create a platform called Black Business Edmonton. How do you register? What is your goal? I know nothing about non-for-profit. I know nothing about social entrepreneurs. I just know I have what it takes to make it a success, but I just don't know how to navigate.
Processes.
So I started learning, learning. I go out a lot. I network. I meet people. So I remember it was 2024, I went to the... I learned about the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce, just like I learned about City of Edmonton. I go to the events, and I saw a large group of entrepreneurs, amazing business owners, and I felt so inspired. So I, joined as a member, and they saw the work that was doing, so they reached out to me last year to join the policy committee. So which means a lot to me. And then not just the chamber, even things like K Days. K Days reached out to me, so I was able to tag.
So those who don't know K Days, can you tell us a bit about what
K Days is one of the biggest festival in Alberta. We have the version called Calgary Stampede. So there's rides, there's a lot of fun activities just to go and see rides. It's good for children. But apart from that, K Days is just more than the rides. They have activities that will come. There's exhibition inside the expo center. Lot of entrepreneurs from different backgrounds, and they have the indigenous tricks as well, so you can learn. They even have their horse band. They have petting zoo. There's a lot that goes
things
on.
For the family,
so people, a lot of people just think it's more on the outside, but on the outside, but there's a lot of things that go on the inside, and it's for 10 days. I remember as a student, I used to go with my students, colleagues. Then we just go for the rides, and then I usually go. Sometimes I go with my girls, I take my daughters. Sometimes we just go have fun. So when I reached out, to partner with them, so on the business side, so we're able to take entrepreneurs there, and it's big, right? So when I realized that was really valuable for our community, I was very excited to lead that cause for them, and it was really an amazing experience. So even with the city of Edmonton, I'm part of the procurement advisory committee. So just to be able to create a space where entrepreneurs can learn how to make the government their client. So I realized that with the passion I pour into this project, it just made me also realize that I have a very powerful voice to use, and I just, for the love of our community, I just want to take my people along with me, right? So I just started advocating for community, and honestly, between 2023 and now, it was 3 years last month. I look back and I just say, wow, it's been a journey. So,
if you're in Edmonton, you don't want to miss this. This April, culture, community, and business are coming together. Black Business Edmonton is bringing back Voices and Ventures. It's more than just an event. Food and community all in one space. A place where Black entrepreneurs, creatives, and families come together to connect and grow. From local vendors to powerful stories, every moment feels intentional. If you're looking to support, network, or just experience something real, this is for you. Don't miss it. Join us at the Alberta Aviation Museum on the 11th of April 2026. See you there. Do you think that Canada has changed from the time you came to now? Let's talk about job availability, PR, diversity. Let's talk about the entire picture. Do you think the time you came 10 years ago and more, 13 years ago, more than 13 years ago, do you think the landscape has changed?
A lot. A lot. Now I can go to Superstore and I hear someone speaking my language. I can take the train, I hear somebody speak my language. It's a lot. More immigrants, for sure, which is really good. Not just for our community, the population has grown. So many businesses, compared to when I came, like even residential areas. So 2000 and even as at 2013 when I came, there was no Glenridge, there was no Keswick, The south side probably stopped at Leslie Road, right, or all the way. Heritage was kind of new then. So population has increased. Business, a lot of businesses. Even compared to like 5 years ago, there's so many businesses right now. It's growing. The city is growing. It's expanding. There's more cultural awareness now. People are more open-minded because just speaking about the landscape from when I came to now, right? It is just very, very different, right? It's like going to downtown, seeing summer activities compared to then and now. So, and I think the government has also done a good job in creating more festivals for, for the community. There's a lot of fun stuff that happen even during the colder months, right? There's so many programs. I think there's not a lot of things going on in the city.
There's a lot.
There's a lot going on in the city. So, a lot has changed culturally. Population, even schools as well.
So you feel there are more opportunities now?
Oh yeah, there are more. But even the permanent residency then is a bit different now.
Okay.
You know, of course, sometimes all these things changes, right? But at the end of the day, you know, I think that express entry, you know, really opened a lot of doors.
That's
for
how we
immigrant
came in through
express.
anyway. Yeah.
And there's a provincial nomination as well, so it has really opened doors, and which is also good for our country because immigrants also bring a lot of value to the country as well. Especially economic development, you know, we add a lot, you know, in health spaces. You know, there are more doctors now. You know, just like when I had my anxiety issue in 2020, you know, it was a black psychiatrist that was able to attend to my needs, and I was able to understand, it could relate, and I found the right combination of medication that worked for me, and I felt like I was even better off when I saw him than before, right? So you know, but these are things that can be very, very difficult to find, you know, previously. And now there's more cultural appropriate food. Now we have a food bank for our community, Afro-Caribbean. Before there was no food bank, right? You know, and that's one thing, some of the things I struggle with. Like sometimes, you know, I'm very food, you know, adventure, but sometimes I miss home, right? So which is very hard to find then, but right now it's way more easier.
So there's more representation.
Oh yeah, 100%.
What do you think about wealth building for immigrants? Do you think it's hard, or do you think there are lots of opportunities we are not taking advantage of?
It's just that is one of the reasons why, you know, we have programs. Here's the thing: you just need to be educated, right? You know, wealth building cuts across a lot of scenarios. You know, first of all, you need to be able to manage your finances, right? You know, sometimes immigrants come, you know, they don't have a credit score, so you get a credit card, and then if you don't manage your credit card properly, and then maybe you get a credit card history, then you can be locked in cycle of you know, credit card debt, you know, and it's which will affect, you know, wealth building, right? So, you know, to me, wealth is not just simply, you know, money or you know, material or something like, but it's just about how you manage your finances, how you manage your inflow and outflow, right? So and you know, I see a lot of immigrants still struggle, and because there's just not enough awareness about what to expect, right? You know, and there's also that misconception where everybody back home thinks money is flying everywhere here, but it's never the case, right? Because we all work, we all. And you know, sometimes people convert currency.
Yes,
you know,
you can't do that.
So wealth building, you know, that's why right now there's a lot of financial literacy programs. Even I know RBC have a newcomer program. Yeah, they do. So they even did something like that on our last two trade shows. They did a series in 2024 and 2025. They have a newcomer for black entrepreneurs, so they can really educate you. If you want to take a loan, these are things you should avoid, so you don't, even if you want to pick up a car loan or want to buy a home, there are more awareness for people now. So I just think people should just be more open-minded, you know, and financial literacy is very important. You know, just be able to manage your finances. That's how you can build wealth, right? Insurance is also very important. A lot of people don't have, you know, whether it's a term insurance, there's life insurance, or even RSP for your children. There's so many things that's also wealth building, right? So now we have programs that we do to educate people about so we have an event coming up in April 11 that, you know, we're also going to have financial experts. So we're going to have a half-an-hour session to just talk about wealth building. We're actually talking about wealth building.
That's fantastic.
So and we don't stop. Every of our event, the two focus with, you know, apart from business exhibition, is financial literacy, wealth building, and health. Not just mental, even physical health.
How do you see the entrepreneurial landscape? Is it easy for? I realize a lot of immigrants, you know, may have main business or side businesses back home. Once they arrive in Canada, they throw it away. How is the entrepreneurial landscape like in Canada, specifically maybe Edmonton, if you want to? Is it easy to start a business here? How's the landscape like compared to Nigeria or Africa or anything?
So the thing is, I agree with what you say, right? There's so many amazing talents that, you know, business owners that doing business, when they come here, they just straight away, right? So I think it's also a lack of awareness, a lack of understanding that there's so much you can do as an entrepreneur here. But the only thing is that you need to educate yourself. You need to learn, ask questions, get out there. You know, if you have a business back home, what kind of, when you come to this environment, ask yourself that, is that business, you know, is there a need for that here? It's like trades. Sometimes if you have to go to school, go to school, go learn, right? You know, if you're a plumber or a welder back home, and, you know, because of the way, you know, the system is back home is different from here. If you have to go take a maybe 1 year, 2 year diploma, just do it, right? Because as an entrepreneur, the only thing that can restrict you is you. You know, if you have a skill or talent, ask questions, do your research. You know, there's nobody in Canada. There's nobody in Canada that says you can't do a business. No, nobody. Like, you just need to. But sometimes I think there's fear. People are scared. You know, they don't. They are afraid to start a business. But I'm telling you, the only thing that can restrict you is you, right? You know, and it's also very soft skill is very important. You can have all the knowledge, right? But you need to learn interpersonal relationship, relate to people. If you're a business owner, you have to pitch to somebody that come and use my service, come and buy from me, right? So there's a lot of business opportunities here, right? There are also programs from organizations like BDC. Business Link, Futurepreneur, Face Coalition, which is one of our partners. And they have a lot of, they can actually help you with business plan. You can consult with them. They'll sit you down, look at, you know, if you want to start a business, you know, they do some feasibility study. And, you know, if there's risk, they let you know what the risks are. If you have to take a loan, they let you take a loan. At the end of the day, it's good to have more businesses because that is how we provide jobs. That is how we grow the economy, right? But I think people are just also very afraid. And to break out of that fear, you need to be open-minded. You need to learn, right? There's no seniority or juniority level. Like, you just need to
reach out to somebody
that's a business owner, learn from them. And I tell people sometimes, you know, we have, you know, internet access everywhere, but sometimes the YouTube we watch for entertainment is loaded with resources. There's a lot you can learn.
You are right, there's a lot to learn from the internet. And then we should also let fear you know, cripple us, because everybody feels, oh, there are bills to pay. If I'm doing entrepreneurship, it means the money is not starting now, so how do I survive? And then we get stuck in the 9-to-5 rat, right?
It's like the way we say back home when we're in school, right? You know, they say burn the candles, right? You know, now it's like, now the time to grind. You have the energy right now. I'm telling you, there's a lot of opportunities. You know, if you stay in your house, business won't come to you, opportunities won't come to you. You need to get out, network. And that's what I tell a lot of people. You have to get out and network. Even operating a not-for-profit has its own challenges, but sometimes you just need to put yourself out there and don't let fear. And sometimes so mentorship is very good. I have a mentor. You know, I have a Papa Wayne, who is like a father figure to me. I actually met him when I was a student at 8. And, you know, he has been my mentor, like my father. So I look up to people. And he has a business. He has, you know, real estate business, laundry business, you know, very, very good enterprise. So I learn from people like that. You know, I always reach out for advice. And I don't think, because I don't do, I know it all. I love to learn. Actually, sometimes I learn from students as well. You know, the younger generation, you know, the Gen Z. Oh, yeah, I learn
they have a lot.
Oh, yeah, because the people that do our social media, I actually a program called VFC. I learned a lot from them.
Yes, because now they are the, you know, the TikTokers and also they know all the tricks and all that.
You need to be adaptable, you know. That's the only way you can survive in this ecosystem, right? So, because we want more business. So I always encourage everybody, and if you have an agent, just incorporate, walk into registry, go register.
And it's very simple.
It's very simple. You do that, then just, you know, start, and just, you know, there's so many, like I said, there's so many resources on YouTube, or listen to podcasts as well on entrepreneurship, and just start building
yourself. But I realize that in Canada, things actually work.
It does work.
And there's a lot of information opportunities, a lot of funding. If you look for the opportunities, you find them. And I find your story so inspirational. Like, you did not lose your fire from Nigeria, even though you had the challenge of cultural shock, you know, mental health, but you still overcame them, and now you are an instrumental voice in our community. And I think it's so inspiring. It's so inspiring. So if you had anything to tell a newcomer who's arriving today, what would that be?
Go mad. You know what I mean, man? Go make a difference. That's what I tell people, you know. Now, you know, you just want a good life for yourself right now, right? You know, tap into the opportunity while you can, you know. Be open-minded, you know, learn the culture, learn the environment, you know, don't make mistakes of, you know, getting into credit card debts. Don't make that mistake, you know, live within your means. Live within your means, you know, build a strong support system around you, friends, you know, be social,
quality friends.
Quality friends. Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Quality friends. Yeah, build a, everybody. At the end of it, we can't exist alone. Human beings are meant to coexist. So build a solid, friends around you. It could be through social network. It could be through church or mosque or any religious organization. Just don't isolate yourself, right? Because sometimes it can be very. They call it the winter blues. Sometimes it can really, so
for a whole 6 months.
Yeah, very, very open-minded. Canada is a very multicultural, right? So as a newcomer, whatever vision you have, ask questions, keep learning, Usually, I always say the sky is always the starting point, right? So just like my journey, can be inspiring to a lot of people. I also want to be inspired by other immigrant success stories. So yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite quote?
My father. So I love this so much, and I like to say it at the end of when I speak, depending on the events, which is education is light, ignorance is darkness, knowledge is strength, ignorance is weakness. The difference is clear, and the choice is yours.
Thank you so much. That's a good way to sign off. So thank you so much for doing this with me. Your story has been so inspiring. This is the first time we are meeting, and you opening up your doors to me, as a newcomer who's also on a journey to, bring more light to people who are arriving, create awareness for the Black community in Edmonton. I'm really grateful. And we hope that we get to, film K-Days and your April programs and all that. Thank you so much for doing this, and hope that you are inspired, by IBK's story. So thank you for watching, and remember to watch the other videos, subscribe, and share with others. See you in my next video.
Subscribe.
Okay.